So in the previous activity, we came up with the inverses, and just because we came up with two equations does not necessarily mean that we have inverses. And so we're going to be talking about two ways of actually checking inverses. In this activity, we're going to do a number approach. And in the next activity, we're going to do more of an algebraic approach. So in this problem here, we're going to start with this number 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick the number 3 in for x to get the answer to the f of x function. And so if I simplify this by going through order of operations, I get a final answer of 1. So if these two equations, again, are inverses of each other, if I replace the x with a 1, I should get an answer of 3. Because, again, the input value becomes the output value in the inverse, and the output answer is the input answer in the inverse. So if I simplify this, what we'll see is that we get an answer of 3, which is great. That's what we're supposed to get. But the question is whether or not the inverse, this idea of inverse, will continue to work if I choose other values for x. Or did your teacher just choose a number that he knew would work, just to say, hey, this one works and we're great, let's move on. But what about all the other numbers? And so instead of just simply going through and replacing x with different numbers, we can actually use what's called the scrub function, and we've used this tool before. And the scrub function will allow us to change our input value. If I left click and hold the mouse button down on the up arrow and then drag the mouse, it will increase it. If I left click on the down triangle and drag the mouse, it will decrease the value. And then the question becomes, will these two answers continue to be inverses of each other? So the input so I have 3, 1, this answer will be 1, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this by left click on the up arrow, and if I start to increase the value, if you look at the answers, you'll notice that the answers still remain inverses of each other. So this tells me that based on the problems that based on the equations that I have here, these functions, that they truly are inverses of each other because of the answers that I'm getting. And if I go the other direction to the negatives, you'll notice that the same thing happens. The input is the output of the inverse function, and the output is the input of the inverse function. So the numbers are switching places. So I'd like you to do, this is the first problem, I'd like you to do is to duplicate these same steps for this second problem. Again, make sure you click submit to go to the next problem. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get the answer for the function here, and then stick the answer back into this function here to see if I get answers that are inverse of each other. So I'll give you some time, look at the video, and again, if you need to, and then complete the problems. After the last problem, I will place a second final video that will go through problems 2 through 6 to show you, again, if you got stuck on any one of those problems, the steps you need to go through to verify that the functions really are inverses of each other using numbers.